The NCAA's decision to move the three-point line back had a big impact on the 2020 season. The national average three-point percentage dipped to 33.3%, the lowest ever percentage since the creation of the line. Just a season before, in 2019, 5 teams shot over 40% from three. But this season, there was just one, BYU at 41.9%. In head coach Mark Pope's first season, the senior-led Cougars were one of the best offenses in the country, finishing 5th in points per possession. In this video, we'll look at BYU's X's and O's and how they actually changed midway through the season. We'll also look at their star trio of seniors, Yoeli Childs, Haws, and Jake Toolson, how their skill sets unlock BYU's offensive spacing, and the go-to plays used for each of them. Before the season abruptly ended, I did similar breakdowns on Dayton, Baylor, and San Diego State. Check those out if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. We also have a college basketball newsletter. Right now I'm in the middle of a 4-part series on offensive spacing. BYU was discussed in part 1. Sign up for that to get X's and O's and analytics straight to your email. During Mark Pope's time at Utah Valley, he became known for his pistol ball screen continuity, which you can see BYU running here. In pistol, BYU has 4 guards spaced around the perimeter with a 5-man continuously setting ball screens and rolling to the hoop. The guards use dribble handoffs to then attack off of the screens and get into the middle of the floor. With everyone spread out and willing to shoot, the roll to the basket is tough to stop. Pope's teams are also very good at reading the defense. If an opponent tries to be aggressive with the handoff by switching or denying, BYU players cut backdoor instead. But Pope actually went away from the offense once Yoeli Childs returned from his 9-game suspension. Now with Childs, BYU switched to a different continuity ball screen offense, one that starts with all 5 players out on the perimeter. This style made more sense for Childs. He was one of the most skilled bigs in the country. Pistol limited some of his skill set by strictly making him a roller to the hoop. And the new offensive scheme also allowed BYU to play 2 bigs at a time instead of just 1. Pistol only has 1 ball screener. The scheme we're about to look at now has 2. The most distinct part of this new scheme became through action, with point guard Haws passing to one wing and then cutting to the weak side. With Haws's ball screen abilities, he was often able to create an open look right away after the through action, hitting the roll, finding a spot-up shooter, or calling his own number. BYU had several different counters to their through action. Here it looks like the normal action with Haws cutting to the wing, but the play is actually a UCLA screen for Childs into a middle ball screen for Haws. On this play, watch how Santa Clara's defense is aggressive against the BYU offense. They switch the through action and then deny on the perimeter. So BYU's counter to Santa Clara was to post up the mismatch with Jake Toolson. The Cougars also incorporated Yoeli Childs post-ups into their through action by simply leaving him low and ducking him into the paint as Haws was coming off the initial ball screen. You can start to notice a theme here from Mark Pope. He designs counters and actions specifically for his best players. We'll see more examples of player-driven sets later in the video. The opposite of the through action for BYU was their strong series. Instead of cutting through to the weak side, Haws would cut to the strong side corner for a ball screen. In that strong series, BYU would also hit the elbow and run split action off of the 5-man. We already saw how Jake Toolson was sometimes used as a back-to-the-basket scorer, but the senior was also one of the best three-point shooters in the country. He finished 5th at 47%, which was especially impressive given the types of threes he took, sometimes from well beyond NBA range. In early offense, BYU would run empty side ball screens for Toolson, clearing out a side to let him create early in the clock. He was 3rd in the country in effective field goal percentage on jump shots taken off the dribble. Point guard TJ Haws lived more in the mid-range. He had a knack for stopping on a dime and still being able to get his shot off on balance. During crunch time, Pope loved to give the ball to Haws and set a double ball screen for him in the middle of the court, trusting Haws to make the right decision. Yoeli Childs was BYU's highest usage player. He was one of only 15 players in the country to average at least 5 shots per game out of post-ups. Childs' skill around the basket made it especially hard for opponents to help on ball screens. Here he has an advantage off the roll, and not many college bigs can do this so smoothly. Even when the roll wasn't open, BYU had the luxury of simply being able to feed Childs in the post in late clock situations. Because of all the shooters in the lineup around him, Childs faced more single coverage than someone with his skill and size would normally see. And he took full advantage of it, showing the ability to finish over either shoulder and draw fouls. One of their favorite sets for Childs was Horns high-low. Haws would start the play dribbling at the opposite big for a pick and pop, while Childs would move down for a post touch. What made Childs extra valuable was not just the post-up game, but the combination of the perimeter game as well. Here he starts on the weak side block and lifts up to the slot. His shooting ability forces his defender out with him, opening up space for the roller. It was that versatility which unlocked the BYU offense, with high-level shooters and high-level playmakers working together to create open looks. Here's maybe the best example of how hard it was to get stops against BYU this season. Gonzaga shuts down all of BYU's passing and movement for nearly 30 seconds. They pressure the ball, pressure the handoffs, and keep everything out of the paint. And they have all of that defensive effort only to have the opposing team's 5-man hit an ISO step-back 3 at the buzzer. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed the video. There's more coming in the near future, and thank you for watching.